The rain was relentless, a silver curtain that blurred the neon lights of the small-town diner. Ethan wiped the grease off his hands and stepped out of the auto shop next door, the hum of engines still in his ears. It was past midnight, and all he wanted was silence. That's when he saw her, leaning against a black sedan that looked too expensive for these streets. Her tailored coat was soaked, her hair clinging to her cheeks, and her eyes, those sharp, confident eyes, had softened with exhaustion. "Can I sleep in your car?" she whispered, voice trembling. Ethan froze, every word catching him off guard. This was Lily Hartwell, the CEO whose company had just bought half the town's industrial lots. The woman who could buy a fleet of cars but now looked small, lost, and utterly human. He hesitated, glancing at the fogged windows of his beat-up truck. "My car," he repeated, uncertain if she was joking. But she wasn't smiling. Her lip quivered slightly, and in that fragile second, all her power vanished. He opened the passenger door without a word. "It's not much, but it's dry." She slid in, shivering, hugging herself. He could smell her perfume, subtle, expensive, and beneath it, the sharp scent of rain and despair. They sat in silence. The windshield wipers squeaked uselessly against the glass. She finally murmured, "My driver left me. My phone died, and I couldn't go back to that hotel." Ethan didn't ask why. Some things didn't need questions. He turned the heater on, and the truck filled with a gentle hum. "You should rest," he said quietly. She tilted her head toward him, studying his tired eyes, the oil stains on his shirt, the way his hands trembled slightly when he reached for the gearshift. "You have a daughter, right?" she asked softly. He blinked. "Yeah, how do you? You were at the parent meeting. You fixed the school bus when no one else could." Her voice cracked. "You looked kind." He didn't know what to say. So he nodded, just once. Minutes passed before her breathing evened out. She had fallen asleep, her head resting against the window, lips parted slightly. Ethan glanced at her and exhaled. The rain had eased, the storm pulling away into the dark horizon. For the first time in a long while, he felt something stir inside him, a fragile, unfamiliar warmth. The heater finally began to hum steadily, pushing out warm air that filled the cab with a low, comforting buzz. The windows fogged, blurring the outside world into soft shapes, streetlights, puddles, shadows moving through the rain. Inside, it felt like they were sealed away from everything else. Lily rubbed her palms together, holding them near the vent. "Thank you," she murmured. Her voice was faint, stripped of the commanding tone Ethan had heard on the radio when she'd announced her company's new chapter for the town. Now, it was just a woman's voice, tired, small, and real. He nodded, eyes fixed on the fogged glass. "No problem." Silence settled again, thick but not uncomfortable. He could hear the rain ticking on the roof like fingers drumming. Then, quietly, she spoke. "You have a daughter, right?" Ethan blinked, surprised. "Yeah, Emma, 7. He glanced at her. "How do you know that?" Her lips curved slightly, though not into a smile. "You were at the school meeting last week. You fixed the bus engine when the driver said it was beyond repair. Everyone was watching, but you didn't seem to notice." He gave a small shrug. "Didn't want the kids stuck in the rain." "That was kind of you," she said softly, her gaze drifting to his hands. They were rough, scarred, calloused, the kind of hands that fixed things, held things together. She wondered how many times they'd mended something no one else could. Ethan caught her staring and cleared his throat, embarrassed. "You, don't strike me as someone who gets stranded much." Her laugh came out brittle, then broke into something fragile. "No, I don't. Usually there's someone paid to fix things for me." She looked down at her lap. "But tonight, everyone left." Something in her words hit him harder than he expected. He didn't know her story, didn't need to. Loneliness sounded the same no matter how much money wrapped around it. He wanted to say something. Anything, but before he could, her head tilted slightly, her eyelids fluttering. The exhaustion caught up with her all at once. She leaned against the window, breathing slow and even. Ethan watched her for a moment, the city's powerful stranger turned vulnerable in his beat-up truck. Then he reached down, turned the heater to low, and whispered to no one, "You're safe here." Outside, the rain finally began to ease. The rain tapered off sometime before dawn. A pale gray light seeped through the fogged windows, soft and uncertain, like the morning wasn't sure it wanted to arrive. Ethan stirred behind the wheel, a stiff ache running down his neck. He hadn't meant to fall asleep. For a moment, he forgot she was there. Then he turned his head and saw her, Lily Hartwell, still curled against the passenger door, her cheek pressed to the fogged glass. Her breathing was even, her lips slightly parted. In the soft light, she looked nothing like the woman from the glossy business magazines. The sharpness had melted away, leaving behind something unguarded, almost innocent. Ethan sat quietly, unwilling to break the fragile peace that had settled in the cab. He could hear the distant drip of rainwater from the roof, the faint hum of power lines, and the soft rasp of her breathing. He studied her face, half curiosity, half disbelief. The woman whose decisions could change the town's fate was asleep in his truck, wearing a coat that probably cost more than his rent. And yet, somehow, she looked more at home here than he expected. He glanced toward the glove compartment, where a worn photograph peeked out, a picture of Emma with her missing front tooth and wild curls. He smiled faintly. She'd be up soon, wanting breakfast. He'd need to drop her at school before opening the shop. Normal life waited just a few hours away, yet this moment felt suspended, like the world had pressed pause. Lily shifted, murmuring softly, then opened her eyes. It took her a second to remember where she was. When she did, her cheeks flushed. "Oh, I must have fallen asleep." "It's okay," Ethan said quietly. "You needed it." She sat up, brushing her hair from her face, eyes flicking toward him. "You stayed here all night. Didn't want to leave you alone." For a heartbeat, she just looked at him, searching, almost as if she didn't know what to make of him. Then she smiled, small and genuine, the kind that didn't belong in a boardroom. "Thank you, Ethan," he nodded, turning the key in the ignition. The truck rumbled to life. "You hungry?" he asked. "There's a diner down the road. Best coffee in town." When the sign's working. Her smile deepened. "Coffee sounds perfect." As the truck pulled away, the morning light broke through the clouds, scattering gold across the wet streets. Neither of them said another word, but something had shifted, something quiet and real.